Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Anita Anand with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi exhorts universities and colleges to not only prepare degree holders but create leaders who take the country forward, inaugurates Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Samagam in Varanasi. Prime Minister to attend first Arun Jaitley Memorial Lecture at 6:30 p.m. in New Delhi tomorrow. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announces his resignation to continue till party chooses his successor. Captive and commercial coal blocks production rises by 79% to 27.7 million tons during first quarter of this fiscal. India to assume presidency of G20 from December this year, says government. Former Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant to be new Sherpa of G20. India elected as member of Intergovernmental Committee of UNESCO's 2003 Convention for Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage for 2022-26 cycle. In Wimbledon tennis, Tunisian Ons Jabeur moves into finals, defeating Germany's Tatiana Maria in women's singles at centre court. In badminton, India's top shuttlers PV Sindhu and HS Pranoy enter singles quarterfinals of Malaysia Masters in Kuala Lumpur. And in women's cricket, India defeats Sri Lanka by 39 runs in third and final women's ODI at Pallekele International Cricket Stadium in Kandy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Samagam in Varanasi today. Addressing educationists at the Rudraksh Convention Centre in his parliamentary constituency, the Prime Minister said the new National Education Policy 2020 has been brought after broad deliberations. He said it aims to elevate education from the narrow mindsets and link it to modern ideas. He added the National Education Policy NEP aims to link skills and education to the future requirements of the 21st century.
राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति का मूल आधार शिक्षा को संकुचित सोच के दायरे से बाहर निकालना और उसे 21वीं सदी के आधुनिक विचारों से जोड़ना है। हमारे देश में मेधा की कभी कोई कमी नहीं रही है।
The Prime Minister further said universities and colleges should not only prepare degree holders but create leaders who will take the country forward. He said the education system must produce the human resource which India actually needs.
हम केवल डिग्री धारक युवा तैयार न करें बल्कि देश को आगे बढ़ने के लिए जितने भी मानव संसाधनों की जरूरत हो हमारी शिक्षा व्यवस्था वो देश को उपलब्ध कराएं। इस संकल्प का नेतृत्व हमारे शिक्षकों और शिक्षण संस्थानों को करना है। हमारे शिक्षक जितनी तेजी से इस भावना को आत्मसात करेंगे छात्र छात्राओं को देश के युवाओं को उतना ही ज्यादा लाभ होगा।
Mr. Modi mentioned that the education sector is undergoing infrastructure overhaul that will make our students future ready. He added that the NEP has been brought in keeping future requirements in mind. The Prime Minister noted that the new National Education Policy has opened the gates for learning in the mother tongue. He added that the Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Samagam provides a platform to discuss NEP 2020 in detail. He also added universities and colleges must promote sports culture in their campuses. Mr. Modi said India is making forays into sectors which were thought to be inaccessible a few years ago. He observed that India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world today. He added that India has the third largest startup ecosystem.
कोरोना की इतनी बड़ी महामारी से हम न केवल इतनी तेजी से उभरे बल्कि आज भारत दुनिया की सबसे तेजी से बढ़ रही बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्थाओं में एक है। आज हम दुनिया के तीसरे सबसे बड़े स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम है। स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी जैसे क्षेत्रों में जहां पहले केवल सरकार ही सब करती थी वहां अब प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स के जरिए युवाओं के लिए एक नई दुनिया तैयार हो रही है।
Earlier, Union Minister of Education Dharmendra Pradhan said NEP 2020 will inculcate logical and critical thinking in students. He said it will strengthen the sense of nationalism in the young minds of India. The Union Minister urged educationists to deliberate deeply on NEP during the next 3 days in the Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Samagam.
NEP 2020 हमें यथास्थिति और कठोरता को तोड़ना तथा प्रगतिशील मानसिकता को तथा साथ अपने राष्ट्र के जीवन में परिवर्तनकारी बदलाव की ओर बढ़ाने का अवसर प्रदान करती है। हमारी देश में 15 से 25 आयु वर्ग में दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी युवा आबादी है। हम सब युवा की ऊर्जा, क्षमता और पूरी तरह से उपयोग कैसे करें और ज्ञान तथा शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में पूरी दुनिया का नेतृत्व करें, यही NEP 2020 की दिशा दर्शन है।
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said the state has implemented NEP 2020 at graduation level. He urged universities and colleges to promote research and development, which are at the core of NEP 2020. He also emphasized that universities should not isolate themselves with the government policies and must work in unison with government bodies. Earlier, the Prime Minister inaugurated the Akshay Patra midday meal kitchen in Varanasi. The automatic kitchen will cater to around 150 government schools and has the capacity to cook midday meals for around 1 lakh students. The Prime Minister inspected the mega kitchen and interacted with the students.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of multiple development projects worth 1,800 crore rupees in his parliamentary constituency, Varanasi, today. Addressing a gathering at Dr. Sampurnanand Sports Stadium, the Prime Minister elaborated on the development works being done in Varanasi. He said Kashi has showcased to the country that new age development can take place while preserving the heritage. He said the initiatives launched today will help in creating future-ready infrastructure and will enhance ease of living. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the first Arun Jaitley Memorial Lecture, AJML, at 6:30 p.m. in New Delhi tomorrow. The Prime Minister will also address the gathering during the event. The Department of Economic Affairs has organized the first Arun Jaitley Memorial Lecture in recognition of his invaluable contribution to the nation. The keynote address will be delivered by Senior Minister from the Government of Singapore, Tharman Shanmugaratnam, on growth through inclusivity, inclusivity through growth. Prime Minister Modi will also interact with the delegates participating in the Kautilya Economic Conclave, a 3-day event being organized from tomorrow.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced today that he would quit as the Prime Minister after he was abandoned by ministers and most of his Conservative Party lawmakers. The scandal-hit leader was left isolated as more than 40 ministers and aides, including 3 cabinet members, have quit the government since late Tuesday, demanding his resignation. Bowing to the pressure, Mr. Johnson announced outside Downing Street to quit as Conservative leader, but said that he would continue to serve as Prime Minister until the party chooses his successor. Mr. Johnson said it is clearly now the will of Conservative MPs that there should be a new leader. He said the process of choosing a new leader should begin now. The External Affairs Ministry said today India will assume the presidency of the G20 from December this year. Briefing media in New Delhi this evening, Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said, apart from the summit which India will host next year, a large number of G20 events at different levels will be organized across the country during India's presidency. Responding to a query on Prime Minister wishing the Dalai Lama on his birthday, Mr. Bagchi said Mr. Modi had spoken to the Dalai Lama last year as well. He said it has been the consistent policy of the government to treat the Dalai Lama as a respected guest in India. On Boris Johnson resigning as UK Prime Minister, the spokesperson said these are internal developments. He highlighted that India has a multifaceted partnership with the UK and hoped that this would continue.
Former Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant will be the new Sherpa of G20. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal will give up the position as Sherpa of G20 with the G20 presidency coming to India. A full-time Sherpa is required who would be needed to devote a lot of time to meetings that will be held in different parts of the country. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar today met his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi in Bali, Indonesia, on the sidelines of the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting. Dr. Jaishankar is on a 2-day official visit to Bali to participate in the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting. During his meeting with Wang Yi, The External Affairs Minister called for an early resolution of all outstanding issues along the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh.
The Parliamentary Consultative Committee meeting on defence will be held in New Delhi on the 11th of this month. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh is scheduled to brief the committee members about various aspects of the recently launched Agnipath scheme. The Defence Secretary, 3 service chiefs and other senior officials of the Ministry of Defence are likely to be present in the meeting. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman today chaired the first meeting of the Apex Monitoring Authority constituted to review the activities of National Industrial Corridor Development Programme. Addressing the meeting, Ms. Sitharaman emphasized upon the need to ensure optimal utilization of resources. She said Prime Minister's Gati Shakti National Master Plan was expected to bring about greater coherence in all investments in infrastructure projects. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal asked states to focus on attracting investors in industrial corridors. He said fast allotment of land must be ensured and land should be provided at reasonable rates.
Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri today launched Swanidhi Mahotsav, which is a cultural festival for celebrating the success of PM Swanidhi scheme. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is organizing Swanidhi Mahotsav from 9 to 31st of this month. It is being held in 75 cities across 33 states and union territories. The Mahotsav will showcase a series of activities like cultural activities, digital transaction training, loan mela, felicitation ceremony for distinguished street vendors, experience sharing nukkad nataks to propagate the features and benefits of the scheme. Addressing media in New Delhi, Puri said that Swanidhi Mahotsav is a festival for celebrating and recognizing beneficiary street vendors' growth story and their contribution towards Indian economy. The Women and Child Development Ministry has issued guidelines for the Mission Vatsalya scheme. Earlier, it was known as Child Protection Services CPS scheme since 2009-10 for the welfare and rehabilitation of children. The objective of the Mission Vatsalya is to secure a healthy and happy childhood for each and every child in the country. The norms of the Mission Vatsalya scheme will be made applicable from the 1st of April this year. Detailed guidelines of the Mission Vatsalya scheme are available at wcd.nic.in/ags/guidelines-mission-vatsalya.
Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani today assumed additional charge of the Ministry of Minority Affairs. She took over from Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who resigned yesterday from the Union Council of Ministers. Rashtrapati Bhavan is organizing a 2-day workshop on disaster management of museums and heritage buildings from today. This is being held at the Rashtrapati Bhavan Museum in association with the National Institute of Disaster Management. The aim of the workshop is to create awareness among the officials of Rashtrapati Bhavan and other stakeholders towards disaster management, with special focus on heritage buildings, museums and cultural heritage. During the workshop, participants will learn about the various aspects of the Disaster Management Act, Disaster Management Framework and Guidelines, Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction and Prime Minister's 10-point agenda on disaster risk reduction in different sessions.
Captive and commercial coal blocks production has gone up by 79% to 27.7 million tons during first quarter of this financial year. The Coal Ministry in a statement today said coal production has gone up to 27.7 million tons as compared to 15.5 million tons during the same period in last financial year. The ministry appreciated the efforts of coal block allottees in achieving high growth and expressed hope that production target of 32 million tons from coal blocks during the second quarter of this financial year will be achieved. In Jammu and Kashmir, the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana ABPMJAY Sehat scheme is emerging as a ray of hope for poor families who could not afford health treatment at prestigious and well-known medical institutes of the country. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that ABPMJAY Sehat scheme would cover 5 lakh women and their families who are associated with self-help groups of J&K Rural Livelihood Mission JKRLM to pace up 100% saturation. The Sehat scheme was launched in convergence with ABPMJAY by the Prime Minister in order to provide health insurance cover of 5 lakh rupees per family every year to all the residents at impanelled hospitals.
Over 198 crore 33 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Union Health Ministry said a total of 18,930 new COVID cases were recorded in the last 24 hours as several states and UTs are witnessing a surge in the cases. With the rise in cases, India's active caseload increased to 1,19,000 and the recovery rate declined to 98.52%. In our bilingual live phone-in program, Corona Jagrukta series, Dr. Vijay Jain, Orthopedics, RML Hospital, New Delhi, will be with us today to answer queries related to coronavirus. Listeners can ask questions to the expert from 9:30 p.m. on telephone number 011-2342-1230 and 011-2342-1764. Listeners can also post their queries at our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts via hashtag AskAIR. This live program can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards.
You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi exhorts universities and colleges to not only prepare degree holders but also create leaders who take the country forward. Inaugurates Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Samagam in Varanasi. Prime Minister to attend first Arun Jaitley Memorial Lecture at 6:30 p.m. in New Delhi tomorrow. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announces his resignation to continue till party chooses his successor. Captive and commercial coal blocks production rises by 79% to 27.7 million tons during first quarter of this fiscal. India to assume presidency of G20 from December this year, says government. Former Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant to be the new Sherpa of G20. India elected as member of Intergovernmental Committee of UNESCO's 2003 Convention for Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage for 2022 to 2026 cycle. In Wimbledon tennis, Tunisian Ons Jabeur moves into finals, defeating Germany's Tatiana Maria in women's singles at centre court. In badminton, India's top shuttlers PV Sindhu and HS Prannoy enter singles quarterfinals of Malaysia's Masters in Kuala Lumpur. And in women's cricket, India defeats Sri Lanka by 39 runs in third and final women's ODI at Palakele International Cricket Stadium in Kandy. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Welcome back to the evening news. Union Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityananda Rai has said that the people of Odisha are happy with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's choice of Draupadi Murmu as the NDA's candidate for the post of President of India. In a brief interaction with the media on his arrival at the Bhubaneswar airport today, Mr. Rai said he joins the people of Odisha in expressing gratitude to Mr. Modi for having chosen Ms. Murmu, daughter of Odisha and a woman from the tribal community. The minister is on a 3-day tour of the state beginning today. NDA's presidential candidate Ms. Murmu is scheduled to visit Odisha tomorrow to seek support of the legislators of the state for her candidature. India has been elected as a member of the Intergovernmental Committee of UNESCO's 2003 Convention for Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage for the 2022-26 cycle. In a series of tweets, Culture Ministry G.K. Reddy said this is yet another opportunity for India to reinstate the values of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of this struggle.
birth anniversary of Muhammad Barkatullah, who was born in 1854 in Bhopal. After receiving education in Bhopal, he moved to London for higher education. After the completion of his studies, he lived in Liverpool, England, and worked as a journalist and published articles relating to revolutionary activities and Indian political affairs. During his stay in London, he befriended leading revolutionaries such as Lala Hardayal, Shyamji Krishnavarma, Nasrullah Khan, and Raja Mahendra Pratap.
In 1907, he met Madam Bhikaji Cama in the USA. All the while, he continued contributing articles on Indian politics and Muslim-Hindu brotherhood in journals and newspapers of New York City. In February 1909, he shifted his base to Tokyo, Japan, and started a journal titled Islamic Fraternity in 1910, and also taught as professor of Hindustani at the University of Tokyo. From Tokyo, he visited Cairo, Constantinople, and Moscow, and met Shyamji Krishnavarma and other revolutionaries at these places in 1911.
Meanwhile, his anti-British exhortations in the press were so popular and influential that the British government not only banned his write-ups in India, but also pressurized the Japanese authorities to take a hostile view of him. This resulted in the banning of his journal and cancellation of his professorship in 1914. Later, he shifted from Japan to San Francisco, USA, with the hope of furthering the cause of the Ghadar Party, in whose establishment in 1913 he played a pivotal role.
During World War I, he went to Germany and formed the Indian Independence Committee at Berlin in collaboration with Champakaraman Pillai, Lala Hardayal, and others. Muhammad Barkatullah moved to Istanbul and established diplomatic relations with the government there. In 1915, he went to Kabul as a member of the Indo-German Mission and founded the first provisional government of India in exile in Kabul on the 1st of December 1915 as its Prime Minister. The local authorities, however, forced it to close down under pressure from the British. Thus, he went back to Germany to resume his journalism.
During 1921, he also attended a 3-day meeting of Indian revolutionaries in Moscow. Barkatullah, along with Shailendranath Ghosh, went to Detroit, USA to attend the United India League's conference in June 1927. He returned back to Europe to attend the Brussels conference in 1927 and met Jawaharlal Nehru. Returning to the USA, he died in exile in September 1927 at San Francisco and was buried in Sacramento City Cemetery, California. AIR News salutes the great nationalist.
We also remember Ram Singh, who was a resident of Savai Madhopur in Rajasthan. He was a sepoy in the Punjab Regiment of the British Indian Army. He fought in World War II in Malaya and Singapore, but became a prisoner of war in the Japanese hands in 1942. He joined the newly established Indian National Army as a sepoy in its 3rd Guerrilla Regiment. While confronting the British-led Allied forces in Myanmar, he lost his life on the 7th of July 1944. We salute the brave son of the soil.
The 7th of July is also the death anniversary of Naginde Singh. Naginde Singh was born in Ludhiana, Punjab. He was a sepoy in the 8th Punjab Regiment of the British Indian Army. In 1942, he joined the Indian National Army and served as a Havaldar. He was deputed to confront the British in Burma, where he was captured by the enemy and hanged on the 7th of July, 1943. We salute this brave son of the soil.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
A special court in Mumbai has remanded 7 accused to National Investigation Agency NIA custody till July 15 in connection with the murder of Amravati chemist Umesh Kole. Kole was allegedly killed over his social media post supporting the comments made by BJP spokesperson Nupur Sharma. The NIA had yesterday conducted searches at 13 locations across Maharashtra in connection with the murder of Kole.
Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Thakur took part in the send-off ceremony of the Indian squad for the Birmingham Commonwealth Games 2022 in New Delhi today. The event was organized by the Indian Olympic Association, which is the governing body for Olympic sports in India. The official kits for the squad were also unveiled. In the Wimbledon tennis tournament, Tunisian Ons Jabeur moved into the finals, defeating Germany's Tatiana Maria 6-2, 3-6, 6-1 in a thrilling encounter in women's singles at centre court today. Jabeur will face the winner of the next match between Halep and Rybakina in the finals.
In badminton, India's top shuttlers PV Sindhu and HS Pranay have entered the singles quarterfinals of Malaysia Masters in Kuala Lumpur. India has defeated Sri Lanka by 39 runs in the third and final women's ODI today in Palakele. Earlier, Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to field. The Indian team won the ODI series by 3-0. The visitors had bagged the preceding T20 series 2-1. The Sensex and the Nifty today witnessed gains amid positive global cues. A report from the business desk.
The Sensex gained 427 points to finish at 54,178. The Nifty also rose 143 points to settle at 16,133. In the forex market, the rupee appreciated 12 paise against the US dollar. The domestic currency closed at 79 rupees and 18 paise against the American unit. Gold prices rose 115 rupees at the multi-commodity exchange for August contracts. Silver prices also surged 360 rupees to 57,090 rupees per kilogram, and in intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $100.50 per barrel. Gaurang Dhawanlal for AIR News.
Heavy rains continue to batter many parts of Maharashtra for the fourth consecutive day today. The Indian Meteorological Department has forecast heavy to very heavy rains in Mumbai and many parts of Konkan and central Maharashtra during the next few days. As a precautionary measure, several teams of the National Disaster Response Force have also been deployed in heavy rainfall areas for carrying out relief operations if required. Now let us have a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is expected to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Minimum temperature will be around 29 degrees. Maximum will be 37. Mumbai will have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature will be 25, maximum 30. Kolkata will have a partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. Minimum temperature will be around 27 degrees. Maximum will be 35. Chennai will have thunderstorm with rain. Minimum temperature will be 26, maximum 33. Srinagar and Muzaffarabad will have a partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature in Srinagar will be around 19 degrees Celsius, maximum of 29. In Muzaffarabad, minimum temperature will be around 26 degrees, maximum of 33 degrees. Jammu is expected to have thunderstorm with rain. Minimum temperature will be around 28 degrees, maximum 36. Leh and Gilgit will have a generally cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In the south, Hyderabad, Bengaluru, Thiruvananthapuram will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. In northeast, Guwahati, Imphala, Aizol, Shillong, Itanagar, Kohima, Gangtok, Agartala will have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi exhorts universities and colleges to not only prepare degree holders but create leaders who take the country forward. Inaugurates Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Samagam in Varanasi. Prime Minister to attend first Arun Jaitley Memorial Lecture at 6:30 p.m. in New Delhi tomorrow. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announces his resignation to continue till party chooses his successor. Captive and commercial coal blocks production rises by 79% to 27.7 million tons during first quarter of this fiscal. India to assume presidency of G20 from December this year, says government. Former Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant to be new Sherpa of G20. India elected member of Intergovernmental Committee of UNESCO's 2003 Convention for Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage for 2020-26 cycle. In Wimbledon tennis, Tunisian Ons Jabeur moves into finals, defeating Germany's Tatiana Maria in women's singles at centre court. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.